All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ephraim. Today's date is October 20th, 2022. And if you listen to the sound of my voice, you are blessed to see yet another day. And for that, all praise, honor, and glory is due to the Most High God of Israel, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the universe, everything in between, everything above and below it. All right. Today, what I decided to tackle directly and specifically is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. That's kind of infamous to some because they try to detract against that, which specifically the passage that says Ham became the progenitor of the dark races of Africa, and then it went on to list the dark races, but it gave us a caveat. It said not the Negroes. Now, why that is a point of contention to some is because basically all the Zondervan is doing is putting Genesis 10 and 6 in focus in terms of what races are which or whatever. And I already broke down who came up out of who. But the only thing that's not in Genesis 10 and 6 is who wasn't from Ham, which is the Negroes. So to this day, and I've even heard that they in the newer versions of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, they took Negro, not the Negroes, out, and it says a newer version of the Zondervan says not the blacks, which I mean I guess that's some kind of way it's supposed to throw us off now or something. I don't know, but whoever let the cat out of the bag and I have the original Zondervan that says not the Negroes, so hopefully you can find a copy, an older copy of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary that still says not the Negroes, because I told y'all, some of us may not like that term Negroes, but Negroes gives us separation and specificity from all the different dark races of Africa. It really does. So, I don't know who decided to put that caveat in there, or even where they got that from, or I don't know. I just don't know. The Most High, he sometimes he works in mysterious ways, and he could have had someone put that in there and they didn't even realize what they were doing, but that was the Most High's hand leading them to put that in there, because that caveat, not the Negroes, is specifically and directly to our people and the people that were involved in the transatlantic slave trade. That's who that passage is speaking to. Now, I did deal with this on my comprehensive E1B1A video that I released, going on almost 7 years now. Wow. Right. And I broke down how I decoded the Negroes and who they were. But in this lesson, I'm going to deal with and it probably got lost in the sauce because that was over 3 hour video, man. Like that video was a classic, but it's over 3 hours. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specifically and directly deal with how I decoded who the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary was talking about when it said not the Negroes, identifying who the Negroes were and are. All right. So that's where we at today. Let's get it. All right, here we go. And again, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary that references, the children of Ham or Ham's lineage, but threw in the caveat and said not the Negroes. I mean, it does two things. Number one, it dispels the lie that we have been told for years that blacks were somehow a result of the curse of Ham and slavery and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of put that on blast too, that whole curse of Ham stuff. First of all, Ham wasn't even cursed. That curse of Ham stuff came from the Babylonian Talmud. I may do a lesson on the curse of Ham. I know I'm gonna do a lesson on the curse of Canaan. So that's still on deck to that brother who wanted me to do a lesson on the curse of Canaan. That's still coming. That's in the pipes. But I may do one on the curse of Ham, because I mean that curse of Ham stuff has been around for probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. But here's the thing: there's no truth to it, because Ham was never cursed. Noah cursed Canaan, right? So where did that whole curse of Ham curse of Ham stuff come from? I'll probably address it some point down the line on a separate video. But so this caveat here in the Zondervan, it just dispels and obliterates that curse of Ham stuff. All right. Because when it says not the Negro, that's the first thing. And then not the Negroes it identifies that the Negroes, there's only two other brothers that the Negroes could be from. Obviously, they're a dark race, right? And we know that they're a dark race because it tells us that he became the progenitor of the dark races. So that's how we know that the Negroes are a dark race. All right, follow me. So there's only two brothers left, Shem and Japheth. And we know good and well, I mean, even the most ignorant person will concede that black people did not come from Japheth. Okay, so that only leaves one man, Shem. So if Negroes aren't from Ham and Negroes aren't from Japheth, they have to be from Shem. So Negroes are Shemitic, contrary to all these genetics and trying to say that we're, West African and Sub-Saharan and, this and that. It's a bunch of lies. Negroes are not Hamites. And that's what the Zondervan Compact Bible does. So before I get to the next segment, I want to give a thesis on this. All right. There's no source because these words are mine. All right. Before I continue on, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you like, subscribe, and click all when you subscribe so you'll be notified every time I drop a new presentation, a new lesson, or a new Thinking Out Loud segment, or Real Talk Tuesdays. And make sure you drop a comment as well as like the videos. This helps in getting the algorithms set up and set off for my presentation so we can get the viewership up. But yeah, theses are good because in college we require them because it really what it does is a thesis gives a great outline. It gives your audience an outline for what they can expect in the body of work being presented. And if your thesis is dull and uninteresting, well, normally that's a pretty good indication that your paper or your presentation probably isn't going to be much better. So you always want to make sure your thesis statement is solid, interesting, and connects the dots, if you will. All right. Historically, black people have been called and labeled any and everything in the book as a way of trying to denote what their race, ethnicity, or nationality actually is or should be, but unsuccessfully, I might add. Blacks have been called or labeled colored, black, Negro, Afro-Americans, African-American, and Black American, etc., etc. But the one glaring fact about all those titles they've tried to label us, they have historically tried to place on our people, is that none of them actually denote what nation our ancestors actually come from, right? Africa is a continent that houses several dark nations. One of those titles remotely gave a clue as to which nation in Africa black people came from. Now, was this deliberate and by design, to keep the enslaved ignorant, right? Wiping their minds clean of their previous history, thereby having to rely solely on the slave master's information with respect to who they were and where they actually came from. The first official slave ship touched down on Virginia, they say, in August of 1619. The very first Hebrew Israelite movement was started by a West Indian by the name of Wentworth Arthur Matthew in 1918. The name of the organization was called the Commandment Keepers in New York City. He was the first unofficial, quote-unquote, black rabbi America had never seen. It took almost 300 years of our people being captive in a land neither us nor our forefather had known before the Most High stirred one of us up. Think about that for a minute. That really gives the 400-year prophecy yet to a completely different light and perspective. Those 300 years is significant because within that time frame, our people, for the most part, were thoroughly and completely brainwashed, successfully reprogrammed, and sold out to the Christian religion, forced upon them at first, and then eventually they gravitated to and adopted willingly. Of all the terms used to try and describe our race, nationality, or ethnicity, unbeknownst to us, the term that actually came the closest to identifying who we were, or more accurately, who we weren't, was Negro. We had been taught and told that we were from the bloodline of Ham, and that our enslavement was the result of the quote-unquote curse of Ham. And in actuality, it was Canaan who was cursed by Noah. The aforementioned were both lies, but our ancestors were so entrenched and sold out to what the slave masters taught them, they didn't bother to read once. They were finally allowed to do so, that is. Genesis 10 and 6, where it gives the bloodline of Ham, and they were nowhere near to be found among that genealogy. Fast forward, and at some point I couldn't find the original print date, but the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary was printed and essentially expounded on Genesis 10 and 6. But with one glaring inclusion, it clearly pointed out that Ham did become the progenitor of the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Africans or Canaanites, but not the Negroes. See, that was a game changer, my people, because see, that passage clearly made the distinction between the Negroes and those other dark races from whom Ham became the progenitor of. The only thing it did not do was identify who the Negroes were, or since they felt this need to all of a sudden be honest and forthcoming, go on to further state that the Negroes were actually from Shem, which makes them and us Shemitic, not Hamitic. Although the powers that be have lied and tried to keep the Negroes as Hamitic and sub-Saharan, but neither stands up to genetic scrutiny. It just doesn't. This was crucial. For whatever reason, Zondervan broke with conventional wisdom and told the truth after over 300 years of perpetuating the lie of who Negroes were and which bloodline we came from. Y'all want to know what's crazy, though? That one inscription in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary under the description of Ham, not the Negroes, must have really ruffled some feathers on a higher level, because lo and behold, in the latest published versions of the Zondervan, it is my understanding that instead of saying not the Negroes, it now says not the blacks, which is idiotic because all the dark races of Ham are black. So clearly they're attempting some type of damage control here because they've already let the cat out of the bag now. But hey, you cannot unring a bell. But this next segment brings it all home for me. To this day, I don't know how I was led to it, how I found it. I don't know if someone sent it. I don't know how I got a hold of it. All I know is that this next segment was revealed to me, and then I knew exactly who the Negroes were. Because in this next segment, and I'm going to play the clip, there's a brother reading an old definition of Negro. And you'll hear it. I'm not going to talk the clip because you'll see it and hear for yourself. But in that clip, it identifies exactly who the Negroes were. And I was just like, oh my God, wow. So that's who the Negroes are. So anyway, before I even continue on with this commentary, let me go ahead and play this little clip, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary on this lesson.
Of any of the black races of Africa, including, besides the Negroes proper, Bantus, that Bantu word, Pygmies, Hottentot, and Bushmen. Maybe that's the reason why they have the clicks too. See language table. Secondary is a black man, a person having more or less Negro blood. More or less. Look at Negroid. Negroid, characteristic of or like the Negro or Negroes. A member of a race perceptibly sharing Negro blood. That means, looking black. Or displaying Negro traits, especially a Bantu.
And there you have it, my people. The Negroes were the Bantus. When he said especially the Bantus. So shout out to that brother who was reading that that definition of Negro. Wherever you are, may the Most High bless you and your peoples. But as I stated in the intro, okay, with the reading of the original meaning of Negro by this brother that has since been changed, it's virtually impossible to find that original text that the brother was reading, clearly identifying the Negroes as the Bantus. Now, on a side note, that passage he was reading from, that definition also listed the Hottentots, the Pygmies, and the so-called Bushmen as Negroes too. As a matter of fact, Sarah Bartman, I did a documentary on her. I'll probably have to redo it. Sarah Bartman was a Bantu, so she too was actually a Hebrew Israelite sister, right? But if anybody can find the original copy of the old definition of Negro that that brother was reading from, please let me know, because I've searched high and low to no avail. I will cover the Bantu expansion, which is essentially the launching pad for our peoples, which is in essence, it was a Hebrew Israelite expansion, because the Bantus are the Hebrew Israelites, straight up and down, right? And when the Most High led me to that, man, I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather. And I'm like, wow. So because I had to decode who the Negroes were. I'm happy that the Zondervan gave us that caveat, but now I'm like, okay, so who's the Negroes? Like, okay, so we know they're a dark race. So who are the Negroes that left us hanging? So the Most High led me to who the Negroes are. It's the Bantus. So all the Negroes worldwide, all the Negroes throughout the transatlantic, Bantus, right? Secondary nations like the Igbos and Yorubas. So those are all secondary nations for us. All right. Even Bantu, that's a secondary nation for us. I did a lesson on Bantus too. I'm gonna have to redo that and update that as well. But let me see. Let's see. People's dissemination throughout Western and Southern Africa, as well as do a comparison of the Negroes and Hamitic Africans. I also will revisit the DNA and current situation of the African limbo. You already did that. Since my first comprehensive E1B1A presentation, more information has been made clear to me about exactly what's going on with the so-called Cohen modal haplotype. Yeah. Ironically, the Bantu and Limbo are connected. They're Negroes and share the E1B1A haplotype. However, there's supposedly a percentage of Limbo who carry haplogroup J, and allegedly that's where the Cohen modal is found, which is non-cipher, which is completely non-equivocally false. And I'm sorry, non-cipher is old 5% talk for meaning no, like not even, no, just no, non-cipher. The general consensus ever since the Zondervan proclamation is that Negroes are the children of Israel, the Bantus. That's just what it is. All right. So I wanted to just give a more direct and specific lesson on decoding who the Negroes were, how I uncovered and identified who the Negroes were. Because I mean, God bless whoever put that caveat in the Zondervan, because I mean really, because all it does is expound on Genesis 10 and 6, right, giving us the lineage of Ham. But the Genesis 10 and 6 does not say who's not from Ham. So that really set me off, and I was able to decode it. The Most High led me to the answer and identifying who the Negroes are and were. And that's it, my people. I mean, and our DNA backs the Zondervan. Our DNA, we do not have the same DNA as Ethiopians. We do not have the same DNA as Hamitic Africans. There's no race of people, and I'll continue to say this, my people, there is no race of people on this planet that has the DNA that we possess. We're the only people with this DNA, man. You understand? Like, that's how, oh my God, like, I'm gonna stop right there. I did a lesson. I think I'm gonna redo the lesson on the Bantus, and Negro presentation. I did one some years ago. I think I'm going to revisit that. All right, but I'm going to stop there. I don't want to. I wanted to deal with that specifically and directly, decoding how I found out and identified who the Negroes are. So now we know without a shadow of a doubt, biblically and genetically, that Bantu/Negroes are the lost children of Israel, and no one can dispute that. I don't care what no one says. They can believe what they want. They can say what they want, but all praise, honor, and glory is due to the Most High God of Israel for leading me to the truth and me being able to bring it to my people. So on that note, this Dr. Ephraim signing off, saying Shalawam, elect.